Welcome to RB's Toy Box. Today, a very special episode dealing with getting a package in the mail. Now, if you're like me and you're ordering from eBay to increase your collection, man, there's just so many different vendors that are sometimes offering the same product, and choosing the right vendor for your collection is actually pretty important. And even further than that, you got Macari out there. You've got a lot of Facebook pages that are now offering up their wares, and they're letting people know through these different Facebook groups that they've got a product available. But when you get them in the mail and you get all excited and you get your knife out and you open that baby up only to find out that the place that you bought it from just happened to be from a smoker. Let's take a look at some tips on choosing the right eBay vendor. Stay tuned.
1, 2, 3, go! Step into the magic on my fun-filled stage. RB's Toy Box is great for kids of any age. From Star Trek to A-Team and retro toys too. Come join on my journey, making videos just for you.
As I mentioned, choosing the right vendor is very important. Now, this first part of this is going to be specifically to vendors. If you are a vendor and you watch RB's Toy Box, hey, good job, because I bought a lot of your stuff. But moreover, one of the things that I look for when I'm choosing who I want to buy from is, number one, price, but number two is the smoke-free home. Now, if you're a smoker and you are a fan here on RB's Toy Box, I am not here today to bash smoking. However, when you order a product from someone where the product's been in a smoke home, or someone who smoked, it makes a difference to those of us who don't smoke or are looking at the longevity of it. I'm not going to get into the chemical composition or anything like that when it comes to smoking, but my family, I come from a long line of smokers, and my dad was a chain smoker. I mean, literally lit one cigarette with the next one as he went through. And over a period of time in their house, you could literally have seen a progression where the walls literally turn yellow. And so if you get something from a home like that, even though it may not be in direct contact with the smoker, it still picks up that smell. And again, I'm not a chemist, but I'm thinking the tar or something on there just still sticks to the proteins and different things just a little bit, because that smell just never really goes away. Now, I mentioned I'm also an automotive expert. With my background, it's been one vehicle right after another that we've seen come through the service department, and we run those ionization machines on them. We've sent them back to the detail department dozens of times, and there's just no way to get the smoke smell completely out, because it gets all the way down into the seat cushions to where even if you scrub it with bleach, you're not getting all the way down, and that smoke permeates down deep into the cushions and the carpet and the padding to where liquid applied chemicals or even vapor applied chemicals just can't penetrate and get down there and kill all of it. Can it make it better? Absolutely. And there's even some good channels online that talk about different things that you can do with your collectibles, like baking soda and the dryer sheets and things of that nature. And all of them will tell you basically the same thing. It's good, but you can still, if you're not a smoker, you can still pick up the smell a little bit. Now, there were a couple of products that I have picked up on eBay, and it didn't say whether it came from a smoke-filled home or not, or smoker home. And I got this one in, and I mean, just opening the box up, you could smell it. And I messaged them and kind of didn't complain or anything, and I'm going to talk about that as we get closer towards the end of the video. What do you do if you get a product from eBay or Macari that is, where you can definitely smell the smoke. In this particular case, it was a deal, but not a deal breaker, because this is plastic, which means while it's meticulous, you can still take it all the way apart and clean every piece and put it back together. And for 99.9% of the time, you're gonna get rid of that smell. Not a problem. Let it air out. I did all of the stuff that you would expect. I took this and put it in a tub with all the accessories that came with it. I put the baking soda in there. I put the different, absorbing mats that you can buy in there to get rid of the smoke. I did all of that, and then I wiped everything down with a chemical composition that's kind of like Febreze. It's like a liquid version of it where it kills the smell, not just masks it with fruity smell or something. So this was one of the ones that kind of really got me looking very, very closely of what it actually lists in the listing. And some vendors out there, good for you, you're putting from a smoke free home, and that helps people like me who buy a lot on eBay to know that. But there's other ones that you can get. I just recently picked up quite a few of these cracked magazines, and one or two of them, had that smell. Now, we're not talking the musty smell that you get from books. We're clearly talking tobacco smell that you can get on these books. Now, some of them there's nothing you can do about it, because a lot of these types of materials are not people that have been collecting for years. They buy like a shed or something, and when they open that door up, everything inside, they bid on the storage building, and everything inside, they get it. This is where actually a couple of these came from, was one of those, and he was very open about the fact that it was an estate sale, or it was a barn find type, or one of these type of scenarios. But so there was no control over it, that it had the smell to it. And to make, I don't want to say make it worse, but I mean, they were put into plastic bags after that, which kind of sealed the smell in. And so, you can do the same thing with these, especially with the dryer sheet method, and you can get a good portion out of it. But paper just absorbs differently, obviously, than plastic does. So you're not really going to be able to get it 100 ways out. Now, I'm not the only collector out there. If you're a fan of RB's Toy Box here and you've liked and subscribed, and if you have, thank you so much. If you haven't, hey, hit that subscribe button down there and join the revolution that we've got here. If you've got a method that I haven't been able to find yet, hey, put it down there in the comments and let me know. I found a method that works really, really good, and put some information in there. Give me a link to a video maybe that you've done on it. I would love to see it and share it with those 1,000+ people that we have currently here on RB's Toy Box. But again, the methods that I've used over the last several years, I don't want to say I've tried everyone, but I don't want to go out and spend $50 in chemicals for a $7 magazine either. So I try to use home remedies just like everybody else. But even after going through those methods, again, you still got a little whiff of it. And I'm going to leave these out of their plastic bag for probably several months, just to see if they'll air out a little bit on their own before I put them in a bag and then put them on display. Which, by the way, I'm in the process of collecting these up I'm trying to find one for each of the major franchises of movies and television shows that I have represented here in RB's Toy Box. So I've got some that I've gotten for the Dukes of Hazzard, and I picked up some from Jaws, obviously. I've got some coming for the $6 Million Man, Star Wars, a little bit of everything. I just loved these things when I was a kid, and honestly forgot all about them. And I've been collecting them up over the last few weeks to try to have one representation for each one. I've got Battlestar Galactica back here. I've got Aliens that I picked up. That one's kind of funny. I've got Battlestar Galactica back here. So I've been, kind of picking them up. Good deals. There's some really good vendors, of course, on eBay that's got some great offers when you buy them in bulk, especially buy 4, 5, 6, 10 of them and get a good discount. So that was kind of the first message to vendors, is if your product is from a smoke-free home, You want to list that for people like me who have little larger collections, and we do collecting as a hobby. We don't necessarily want to get something that we've got to turn around and clean and fix, because we're not just looking about collecting it for today, we're looking about collecting it for the future as well. And if we've got something that's already kind of set backwards because of a really strong smell, that's something that you want to think about when you're putting your stuff out there. Now, again, there's a lot of people, they couldn't care less whether it had cigarette smell, smoke on it or not. And I'm sure I'll get a couple of people down in the comments that, is like, I'm a smoker. And again, I'm not here to bash smokers, but there's a lot of us that are not smokers. And when we buy things off of eBay or Mercari or Facebook, it would be nice, vendors, if you would list that it came from a smoke-free home, so that we would know that, give us a little bit more confidence in buying. And then if it is tainted with cigarette smoke, let's just be honest, right? It does depreciate the value, because it decreases the amount of people that would find that to be collectible, and its capability of being preserved over a longer period of time. So the second part of that, we talked about the vendors. The second part is just really quick, for us that are out there buying, to look for that, little marker, on there. Now let's talk for just a quick moment. What do you do when you get a product from an eBay vendor or a Mercari vendor that they didn't list that it was from, that it was damaged with maybe cigarette smoke or something? What do you do? Well, number one, you communicate with them, okay? Especially if you pay top dollar, okay? If you pay like what I would consider a full market retail for something that, it's the same price as everybody else or higher, and you get it and it's literally, completely tainted with cigarette smoke, communicate with them. A lot of them will, credit you back 10 or 15%. What you don't want to do is bash them. Okay? You don't want to do that. Trust me. Okay? Don't give them a 1-star. Don't give them a big, go ahead and give them their 5-star. If they gave you the product that they promised to give you, and it was properly shipped, and you received it on time, the fact that it didn't list cigarette smoke or not, that's not an industry standard. And therefore, I don't think it's something that you should lower their rating for. That's, in my opinion, that's not fair. Now, communicating with them, telling them that you're mildly displeased over the product that you received. Every vendor that I have spoken with about this has had a good reason, or didn't, for example, this one's a great example, is the 18 ban. The young lady that I purchased this from, her husband's a smoker. Her collection is literally, she said, on a completely different side of the house, and behind closed doors, and and this was sitting on a shelf, and she just, she's around it every day, so she didn't smell it, and I get that. And she gave me a little bit of a discount, for the fact that she didn't realize it, and it didn't seem like it was a big deal to her. But I mean, this thing reeked. I mean, when I got it, it reeked. But you don't want to destroy them on their score. You want to communicate with them. You want to talk to them a little bit. You want to not try to gouge them for anything, because again, that's not an industry standard for someone to reveal that information. It would be nice if it was and everybody told you about it, but it's not a requirement, okay? Now, that being said, maybe make mention of something in the comments, but again, not derogatory. I always put, when I put my rating back up there, that it was, received product, no smoke or foul smells. Because I also have received some product that smelled like BO bad. I mean, it smelled like they took it and rubbed it under their arms and then put it in a box. It was bad. And that's just as hard sometimes to get out as smoke smell, gonna be honest. But you don't want to put, again, you don't want to trash them. They have a store, they've got a business to run, and here's the reason why. Like I mentioned, this guy clearly, when he cracked open that storage building and he was selling this stuff out of the storage building, you know, he had no control over that. He wasn't a smoker himself, but he just wants to sell, you know, and get a return on his investment. That's the American dream, baby. So that's why it's not worth bashing them if, you know, if it comes that way. And again, they're not required to disclose that. But in his particular case, again, there was no reason to go in there and do anything other than just mention that product received had a smoke smell. That's it. That's all you had to put in there. Otherwise, great condition, great seller, great communication. This guy had great communication skills, no problem. Quickly responded back and forth, blah, 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 blah. Now, if they tell you to kiss off or, you know, screw you or, you know, whatever, you know, then that's between you and the Lord. I'm just saying. But for me, from a collector standpoint, I'm not going to go out there and bash somebody if I receive a product that, you know, had a smoke smell, if it wasn't, you know, clearly disclosed. If it is beyond repair and I just can't have it in my collection, period, well, I'll either ask to return it if they have a return policy, or I'll do the second best American thing. I'll turn around and sell it to somebody else, and I'll disclose that it has a smoke smell, and then I'll probably have to take a little bit of loss on it. That's the CODB of life, right? Cost of doing business. But that's why I started this off talking to vendors. And vendors, if you're still watching, disclosing that information will help you from having to deal with it after sale, okay? Because let's face it, that's when you get your review, is after the sale. When that thing gets here, they're happy, they've received the product that they've asked for, that's when you're going to get a review. And not everybody is going to treat this financial, is that even the right word? What's the right word, guys? I mean, transaction, let's just call it a transaction, maybe as fairly as I would, okay? Because again, I'm not going to bash you if it's not disclosed, but it would be nice if it is. I just bought this, as you probably told, you know, back then. This young lady, bless her heart, she had the From a Smoke-Free Home, I mean, in the title, in the comments, in the description. It was everywhere. So it was a no-brainer for me because, I mean, there's like 2,200 of these online. And I paid, you know, $1 or $2 more for this one. And I bought it specifically because, you know, it said smoke-free. And the rest of them didn't. And sure enough, when it came in, it had no smell to it whatsoever. So that's the kind of stuff that folks like Arby's Toy Box is looking for, is good, quality, clean products. And if it's the only one out there and it's super rare and you can get it for a deal and it's got a little smoke smell and you can do a couple of those little tricks to get rid of the smell, or if you're a vendor and you can do the tricks before you package it up and ship it off, right? Go ahead and throw it in a box or a bag or a tub with a couple of dryer sheets or those absorbing pads, or with a little bit of that enzyme, blah, 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 blah stuff that you put on stuff, especially if it's plastic and can clean it up. But a lot of folks don't do that. I hope you enjoyed this little, whatever you want to call it. It was just kind of a me talking to folks out here, letting them know how important it is for me to receive a product from a smoke-free environment, that it's, as a collector, it's one of the things that I look for specifically. And for those of you that are out there kind of building your collection, that's one of the things that maybe you want to look for. Again, maybe you're a smoker. I'm not here to bash on anybody about smoking. My dad was a smoker, my brother's a smoker, grandfather's a smoker, go right down the list there. It was never my thing, never got into smoking. But for someone who is a non-smoker to be around somebody that smokes, we can tell. We can pick it up from a mile away. So stay tuned here on Arby's Toy Box for other little tips, tricks, everything else that we've got going on, different toy reviews of things that we picked up here in the toy box. And for all my fellow collectors out there, hey, we'll see you soon.
Step into the magic on my fun-filled stage. RB's Toy Box is great for kids of any age. From Star Trek to A-Team and retro toys too. Come join on my journey, making videos